Welcome to this live stream. I am very happy to welcome you to our live stream. If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Tell me. I'm very happy to welcome you. It is 11th of February 2026. Remember, we have our challenge of reading the scripture in 60 days. Please subscribe and comment and tell me where you are watching me from. I'm very happy to to welcome you this wonderful night. Tell me where you're watching me from. I'm very happy here. For those who have been wondering, what is our intention? Our intention is simply to read the scripture and to understand the scripture in details. All right, we have no intention whatsoever to to mislead anybody. We have no intention to cause any kind of we have no intention at all. We're just interested in reading the scripture. Any questions up to there? Please, you're welcome to read the scripture with us. You're welcome to learn the scriptures. Any questions up to there? Can we start? I want to welcome you all. We can start reading. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, tell me where you're watching me from. Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? This is purely a channel to reach out to people of faith. We're interested mostly in reading the scripture. Tell me where you're watching me from. I like visitors. If you're a visitor, welcome. Tell me where you're watching me from. We were reading from 2nd Chronicles chapter 7, where Solomon had already finished building the first temple. I said today, I know people want to disrupt this channel, but kindly, out of respect, please, don't disturb us today. Please, 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 don't disturb, please don't disrupt this channel. We are not really, don't distract us, all right? We just want to read. Just want to read the scripture. Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? Please kindly subscribe and comment. Tell me where you're watching me from. So without any wasting of time, we'll continue reading. When Solomon finished praying, fire came down from heaven and consumed the burnt offering and the sacrifices, and the glory of the Lord filled the temple. Any questions up to there? The priest could not enter the temple of the Lord because the glory of the Lord filled it. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, we have 60 days to read the scripture, and I hope we will concentrate. I want you guys to concentrate, all right? I don't want you to concentrate on the funny things people are saying. I want you to concentrate on the most important things. That is, read the scripture and understand the scripture, okay? When all the Israelites saw the fire coming down and the glory of the Lord above the temple, they knelt on the pavement with their faces to the ground, and they worshiped, saying, "He is good, his love endures forever." Then the king and all the people offered sacrifices before the Lord, and King Solomon offered a sacrifice of 22,000 head of cattle and 120,000 sheep and goats. So the king and all the people dedicated the temple of God. The priests took up their positions, as did the Levites, with the Lord's musical instruments, which King David had made for praising the Lord, and which were used when he gave thanks, saying, "His love endures forever." Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Tell me where you're watching me from. Any questions up to there? Welcome, welcome, my dear brothers and sisters. Which King David had made for praising the Lord, and which were used when he gave thanks, saying, "His love endures forever." Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, welcome. Tell me where you're watching me from. I'll be very happy to be here. Any questions up to there? Let us continue reading. Opposite the Levites, the priest blew the trumpets, and all the Israelites were standing. Welcome to this stream. I'm very happy that we are, reading the scripture. We are not being distracted, because I understand the tactics that they're using. They want to distract us from reading the word. They want to keep us tuned in to their own agenda, but we are not going to be distracted, right? We will not be distracted. I want you to focus on reading. I want you to focus on reading. Are we together? I want you to focus on reading. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Tell me where you're watching me from. Any questions up to there? Any questions? Let's continue reading. Solomon consecrated the middle part of the courtyard in front of the temple of the Lord, and there he offered burnt offerings and the fat of the fellowship offerings, because the bronze altar he had made could not hold the burnt offerings and the grain offerings and the fat portions. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Tell me where you're watching me from. So Solomon observed the festival at that time for 7 days, and all Israel with him, a vast assembly, people from Lebo Hamath to the Wadi of Egypt. On the 8th day they held an assembly, for they had celebrated of the altar for 7 days, and the festival for 7 days more. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. If you're new to this channel, be part of our read. Tell me, where you're watching me from. Any questions up to there? Any questions? Any questions up to there? I want us to focus on reading the word. I want us to focus on those funny things, right? I want you to focus on the positives, right? Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. So, Solomon observed the festival at that time for 7 days, and all Israel with him, a vast assembly, people from Lebo Hamath to the Wadi of Egypt. On the 8th day they held an assembly, for they had celebrated the dedication of the altar for 7 days, and the festival for 7 days more. All right. On the 23rd day of the seventh month, he sent the people to their homes, joyful and glad in heart for the good things the Lord had done for David and Solomon and for his people Israel. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe, comment, tell me where you're watching me from. If you're new to this channel, I want you to subscribe. Tell me, your story. I want you to subscribe to this channel and tell me your story. I would want to hear your story. We are reading the scripture. I want us to focus on the word. I just want us to focus on the word. I don't want to focus on funny things. I don't want us to focus on the environment. I want you to focus on the word. Focusing is also very important because the devil wants to distract you. Any questions up to there? Any questions? I know you're tired, but I'm also tired, but let us focus. Let us focus. Let us focus. Let us focus. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Up to there. Any questions up to there? Yes, 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 yes. Any questions? Any questions? Ooh, very, very tired. Very, very tired. But we're going to focus. I want us to read the scripture. When Solomon had finished the temple of the Lord and the royal palace, and he had succeeded in carrying out all he had in mind to do in the temple of the Lord and in his own palace, the Lord appeared to him at night. Let's underline that. The Lord appeared to him. Let's continue reading. I have heard your prayer, and I have chosen this place for myself as a temple for sacrifices. When I shut up the heavens so that there is no rain, or command locusts to devour the land, or send a plague among my people, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves, my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, I will forgive their sins, and I will heal their land. Now my eyes will be open and my ears attentive to the prayers offered in this place. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe. Tell me where you're watching me from. Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? Now my eyes will be open and my ears attentive to the prayers offered in this place. Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? Very happy to be here. I've chosen and consecrated this temple so that my name may be there forever. My eyes and my heart will always be there. As for you, if you walk before me faithfully, as David your father did, and do all I command, and observe my decrees and laws, I will establish your royal throne, as I covenanted with David your father when I said, you shall never fail to have a successor to rule Israel. But if you turn away and forsake the decrees and commands I've given you, and go off to serve other gods and worship them, then I will uproot Israel from my land, which I have given them, and will reject this temple which I have consecrated for my name. Any questions up to there? I will make it a byword and an object of ridicule among all the people. This temple will become a heap of rubble. All who pass by will be appalled and say, why has the Lord done such a thing to this land and to this people? People will answer, because they have forsaken the Lord, the God of their ancestors who brought them out of Egypt, and they have embraced other gods. Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? Worshipping and serving them. That is why he has brought all this disaster on them. Any questions up to there? If you subscribe and comment. How are you doing this wonderful evening? Any questions up to there? Tell me where you're watching me from. Tell me where you're watching me from. At the end of 20 years, during which Solomon built the temple of the Lord and his own palace, Solomon rebuilt the villages that Hiram had given him and settled Israelites there. I can see that someone called John Hickman. Welcome to this channel. Welcome. Have you subscribed? Have you subscribed? Any questions up to there? Kindly make sure your comments are positive comments. I would not want us to engage negatively. Please, I wouldn't want us to engage negatively. We are not doing anything illegal, we're just reading the scripture. And I want us to just focus on that. Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Solomon then went to Hamath Zobar and captured it. He also built up Tadmor in the desert and all the store cities he had built in Hamath. He rebuilt Upper Beth Horon and Lower Beth Horon as fortified cities with wall and with gates and bars, as well as Baalath and all its store cities, and all the cities for his chariots and for his horses. Any questions up to there? Remember the Second Chronicles, how many chapters does it have? I want us to finish reading, and focus on other things. Any questions up to there? Kindly be part of this program. You can subscribe. The 36 chapters I want us to read. Any question in chapter 8? Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, be part of our stream. Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? Let's continue reading. Any questions? Don't be, don't be dragged into this kind of conversations. We firm Christian, all right? And I will not be distracted by what is going on. We are here to read the scripture. I'm very firm on that particular aspect. So don't worry. I know some people have been calling me. People have been calling me during the day asking me, what is that that we are reading on your stream? Said these are people who want to distract me from my goals. But I'm very happy that they've just found me when I was fully, in the spirit. So I will not be focusing on what they're saying. I'll be focusing on what is important. All right. Don't be afraid of what you see in the physical. Don't be afraid of what you see in the physical. What you see in the physical is meant to make you, afraid. I hope that God will open your spiritual eyes so that you can transcend and not see things with carnal eyes. That is why we are reading the scripture. I want you to transcend. Do you know the meaning of transcending? I want you to transcend and look at people and look at things and look at events with spiritual eyes. When you look at people, you look at them with spiritual eyes. Are we together? That is to go beyond the range of limits, or limits of a field of activity or something. You have to surpass, what you're seeing, and look at people with a different lens. Are we together? Look at events with a different lens, not with what you're used to. Because, familiarity is highly discouraged in the spiritual world. Are we together? Familiarity. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Tell me where you're watching me from. It is February, and I'm very happy that we are still reading. You can tell me anything new. All right. So he rebuilt Upper Beth Horon and Lower Beth Horon as fortified cities with walls and with gates and bars, as well as Baalath and all its store cities, and all the cities for his chariots and for his horses. Any questions up to there? Please feel free to ask me your questions. Feel free to subscribe and comment. I know some people have been calling me and asking me, what is happening to your channel. I said that, a few characters have invaded my channel, but that will not stop us from reading. I know their plan is to, make sure that we are distracted from our goal. But we're not going to be distracted, and I'm very happy because they want to distract us. This is a distraction, but we are not going to be distracted. We'll focus on our work until we finish, and then we'll be on our way. There were still people left from the Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and the Jebusites. These people were not Israelites. Solomon conscripted descendants of all these people remaining in the land, whom the Israelites had not destroyed. You see, the meaning of the word conscripted is to be forcibly registered into the army. Are we together? Solomon conscripted the descendants of all these people remaining in the land, whom the Israelites had not destroyed, to serve as slave labor, as it is to this day. Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Any questions up to there? Be Any questions? Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? I said we'll be focusing on reading. I want us to just focus on reading and not any other thing. You see, there's so much going on. So trust me, if you focus on if you just focus on something that is not what you are meant to focus, you will lose a lot. By the time you come back, it will be already too late. So when you have a chance to read the scripture, just focus, sit down and read. All right? Sit down and read. But Solomon did not make slaves of the Israelites for his work. They were his fighting men, commanders of his captains, and the commanders of his chariots and charioteers. They were also King Solomon's chief officials, 250 officials supervising the men. Any questions up to there? Solomon brought Pharaoh's daughter up to the city of David, to the palace he had built for her. For he said, my wife must not live in the palace of David, the king of Israel, because the places the ark of the Lord has entered are holy. Remember, the story of Solomon is about compromise. Solomon, as much as God gave him a lot of wisdom, he also allowed, he married from different areas, women from different places where they practiced, different things. And within a very short period of time, the word compromise, it sneaked in. Compromise will never come shouting, oh, I am compromised. No, compromise will come in a very calculated, compromise is calculated. So within a very short period of time, you can see when you read the scripture, when Solomon built the first temple, the east side of Jerusalem, he also built the altars of Milcom, Chemosh, Molech, and Ashtoreth. That is how compromise works. It is insidious in nature. It is when it comes, it destroys whatever is there, and it builds its altar. Are we together? So when you can imagine, when of course Solomon had 700 wives and 300 concubines. So when a woman says, why did you build an altar for that woman and did not build for me? So in a period of time, Solomon started building altars everywhere, and the land was defiled by his activities. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Tell me where you're watching me from. Let us continue. On the altar of the Lord that he had built in front of the portico, Solomon sacrificed burnt offerings. Remember, when he was dedicating the first temple, he gave a sacrifice of how many bulls? He gave 1,000 cows as a burnt sacrifice. That is something that was heavy. And in the spiritual world, the only language that is understood, whether it is Christianity or any other, it is the language of sacrifice. If you sacrifice big time, then of course you will have a lot of stake. Are we together? So in the language of the spiritual world, it's not a question of English or Kiswahili. It is the question of how much are you willing? How much are you willing to give? How far can you go? How far can you go? There are people who are willing to do anything. Any questions up to there? How far can you go? What can you give? That is the question of the language of the sacrifice. There are people who can give the whole world to receive something. Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Any questions up to there? So when you look at people, ladies and gentlemen, look at people with spiritual eyes. Look at people with spiritual eyes. If you look at people like that, you'll be able to zoom in. You'll be able to know, what somebody intends to do. You'll be able to know their plans beforehand. You'll be able to foil any agenda before it happens. You'll have, a lot of, ammunition. And that is why I want us to read the scripture. Any questions up to that? I said every day, I'm going to place some money on this channel. I will not leave it, empty. Every day, I'm going to give 500 shillings to this channel so that we can have, we can have credit. We can have, our activities will continue unabated. And I hope that, you will enjoy this channel. And for those who want me to engage in politics or in any political discussion, forgive me because, politics, I really don't like politics a lot, because politics is usually a game of interest. But here I'm only interested in things above, not things below. Are we together? I'm only interested in things in the things in the spiritual. So if you're here, just understand that our main aim is to download from the spiritual. That is why I said I'm willing to break the bank if we get something out of it. Are we together? I'm willing to go any length. All right. I'm willing to break the bank. That is what they're saying. To break the bank. I'm willing to go any length for us to receive something in the spiritual. That's why, as people are doing their own things, we are here reading the word. Any questions up to there? Kindly subscribe and comment and tell me where you're watching me from. So, according to the daily requirement for the offerings commanded by Moses for the Sabbaths, the new moons, and the 3 annual festivals, the festival of unleavened bread, the festival of weeks, the festival of the tabernacles, in keeping with the ordinance of his father David, he appointed the divisions of the priests for their duties and the Levites to lead the praise and to assist the priests according to each day's requirement. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? Kindly subscribe. Kindly subscribe. Subscribe to this comment, and I'll be very happy if you read the scripture with me. And any questions up to there? Let's continue reading. I know if you read some of these things that they are writing here, they want to scare us, but I said that we are not to be scared easily. They want to make us run away, but I said they're too late. It's a bit too late for that. It's a bit too late for that. Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? I can see that any questions? If you're new to this channel, I can see and let me see the story of this man who's dead. Johnston Mudama's son died. I know I've been reading the story. According to the family statement, Moses developed breathing complications on Wednesday night, and he was rushed to hospital while he was pronounced dead while receiving treatment. Wow. Moses developed breathing problems at his house and was rushed to the hospital where he died. Oh my God. I want to send my message of condolence to the family of this, of our Senator, Agnes Mudama, and of course our, Justin Mudama. I can hear, you see that I don't understand. He was the director. As a county director, Moses supervised. Oh, wow. I think this is very sad. Very, very sad. Any questions after there? Wow. Any questions? I can see here he developed breathing problems. What do you mean? What was the cause of death? I'm just reading the story. Wow. He developed breathing problems. I don't know. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, welcome. Tell me where you're watching me from. I'm very happy that you're joining this channel. Any questions up to that? It is Wednesday. Let's continue. Let us continue reading. Any questions up to that? We'll read, any questions up to that? Any questions? All right, let's continue. In keeping with the ordinance of his father David, he appointed the divisions of the priests of their duties and the Levites to lead the praise and to assist the priests according to each day's requirement. Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? Let's just read. He also appointed the gatekeepers by divisions for the various gates, because this was what David, the man of God, had ordered. They did not deviate from the king's commands to the priests or to the Levites in any matter, including that of the treasuries. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe. Remember, I told you that the battle is never of the flesh, but of principalities and rulers. So when you look at events, look at it from a point of the battle is never of the flesh, but of principalities and rulers. That is in the book of Ephesians, chapter 6, verses 12. And it says, I want to read for you what it says. It says that the battle is not of the flesh, but against principalities and rulers of the heavenly realms. Let's read. If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. It says, for our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor. Put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you have done everything to stand, stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. Any questions up to there? Very happy, my dear brothers and sisters, that we are reading the word. So all Solomon's work was carried out from the day the foundation of the temple of the Lord was laid until its completion. So the temple of the Lord was finished. Then Solomon went to Ezion-Geber and Elath on the coast of Edom, and Hiram sent him ships commanded by his own men. Sailors who knew the sea, these with Solomon's men sailed to Ophir and brought back 450 talents of gold, which they delivered to King Solomon. When the queen of Sheba heard of Solomon's fame, she came to Jerusalem to test him with hard questions. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Arriving with a great caravan with camels carrying spices, large quantities of gold and precious stones. Welcome to this channel. She came to Solomon and talked with him about all she had on her mind. Solomon answered all her questions. Nothing was too hard for him to explain to her. When the queen of Sheba saw the wisdom of Solomon, as well as the palace he had built, the food on his table, the sitting of his officials, the attending servants in their robes, the cupbearers in their robes, and the burnt offerings he made at the temple of the Lord, she was overwhelmed. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Tell me where you're watching me from. She said to the king, the report I heard in my own country about your achievements and your wisdom is true, but I did not believe what they said until I came and saw with my own eyes. Indeed, not even half the greatness of your wisdom was told to me. You have far exceeded the report I heard. Let's underline that. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment and tell me where you're watching me from. I'm very happy this wonderful evening to be here. Remember, we just have 60 days to read the scripture. And in those 60 days, I want us to finish reading. How happy your people must be. How happy your officials who continually stand before you and hear your wisdom. Praise be to the Lord your God who has delighted in you. Any questions up to there? Praise be to the Lord your God who has delighted in you and placed you on the throne as king to rule over the Lord your God, because the love of your God for Israel and his desire to uphold them forever. He has made you king over them to maintain justice and righteousness. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe, comment, tell me where you're watching me from. Feel free to be part of this program. I'm very happy that we are moving on. Because of the love of your God of Israel and his desire to uphold them forever, he has made you king over them to maintain justice and righteousness. Then he gave the king 120 talents of gold, large quantities of spices and precious stones. There had never been such spices as those of the Queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. The servants of Hiram and the servants of Solomon brought gold from Ophir. They also brought algum wood and precious stones. The king used the algum wood to make steps for the temple of the Lord and for the royal palace, and to make harps and the lyres for the musicians. Nothing like them had ever been seen in Judah. Welcome to this stream. I'm very happy to be here. If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Tell me where you're watching me from. I'm very happy to be here. So we'll continue reading. Don't go anywhere. Any questions up to that? Let me drink some water and come back. Any questions up to that? Any questions up to there? All right, I'll be back. Don't worry. Yes, my dear brothers and sisters, let us continue reading. Very happy to be here this wonderful night. I want us to continue reading, and I hope that you will be imparted with the word. How happy your people must be. Okay, we read that. The king used the algum wood to make steps for the temple of the Lord and for the royal palace, and to make harps and lyres for the musicians. Nothing like them had ever been seen in Judah. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. King Solomon gave the Queen of Sheba all she desired and asked for. He gave her more than she had brought to him when she left and returned with her retinue to her own country. The weight of the gold that Solomon received yearly was 666 talents of gold. Any questions up to there? Not including the revenues brought in by servants and traders. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Tell me where you're watching me from. I'm very happy that if you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Don't give in. Don't give up. Let's continue. Any questions up there? Any questions up to there? Any questions? Let's continue reading. Are you happy to be here? Are you happy to be here? Very happy to be here. If you're new to this channel, be part of our read. Be part. Don't be scared. Don't be scared of You understand that it is during that time in our country of elections are just around the corner. There's a lot of the airwaves are tampered with. I don't even understand what is going on, but I've decided personally. I'm a very strong individual. I've decided not to focus on whatever people are saying. I'm focusing on what God says. That is the most important thing. What people say is temporary, but what God says is permanent. Are we together? So don't focus on because you can be under a lot of pressure. You can be under a lot of pressure. This thing is terrible. I can tell you for free. Any questions up to there? If you are new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Any questions up there? Any questions up to there? Do not do not be confused by these people who say things in the internet. Don't be focus, right? Focus. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Tell me where you're watching me from. I'll be very happy if you read with me. I can tell you for free that reading the scripture in itself has really been a journey. It's been a journey. It's been a spiritual, let me call it a spiritual journey that I've taken for my own good. Something was stirring me up to read the scripture, to look for the face of God in my things. Any questions up to there? And you see, when you read the scripture, you hear, once you read the scripture, you discover that Solomon deviated, Rehoboam deviated, Abijah deviated. It was only Asa who did things that were right in the eyes of God. But you see here, how many people deviated? How many people deviated? Solomon deviated. After David, Solomon deviated. Who else deviated? I can give you the list. Solomon deviated. His son Rehoboam deviated. Abijah deviated. It was only Asa who, brought things back. And Jehoshaphat, the son of Asa, was Jehoshaphat. All right. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment and tell me where you're watching me from. If you're enjoying this channel, subscribe. Also, the kings of Arabia and the governors of the territories brought gold and silver to Solomon. Let's continue reading. King Solomon made 200 large shields of hammered gold. 600 shekels of hammered gold went into each shield. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. He also made 300 small shields of hammered gold with 300 shekels of gold in each shield. The king put them in the palace for the forest of Lebanon. Forest of Lebanon was the house of, Solomon was known as the Forest of Lebanon because he used a lot of cedar logs from Lebanon, which were supplied to him by Hiram, the Hiram of Tyre. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Tell me where you're watching me from. I'm very happy to be here this wonderful, evening. And I'm blessed to be here. All right. So remember, if you're new, subscribe. I know you guys are tired, but let's not look for God when things are bad. All right. Always remember God in your youth. All right. Don't start looking for God when you're cornered or when things are thick. I want you to remember God in your younger years. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Tell me where you're watching me from. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Please ask me your questions. I'm here to answer your questions. I'm here to, I'm here to answer all your questions. Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? Let us continue reading. And I wouldn't want us to be derailed. I wouldn't want us to focus on other things. The things of this world are fleeting. The things of this world are not permanent. The things of this world are fleeting, but the word will stay. Okay? So don't focus on the things of this world. The word is what will help you when things are bad. Friends, you're not gonna be there for you. But if you invest in the word, if you invest in the word and you just strictly invest in the word, you'll be like a tree that is planted by the riverside that never withers and yields its fruit in all the seasons. You will not be, yesterday I was saying you will not be like the mango. Yesterday I was telling people, the mango is a fruit that comes in January, and it comes and everybody mango, Mr. Mango, mango, mango. But, in February, nobody is talking about mango. Don't be like the mango. Even if you were to be a fruit, don't be like the mango. At least be avocado. Avocado will survive, and you'll be more, you'll be more useful. If you were to be asked, what would you want to be? if you were to be a fruit, which fruit would you want to be? At least say avocado. You know, you will be, at least people will eat you in lunch. And if it's githeri, they will put avocado. At lunchtime or at supper, they'll eat avocado. So at least you're better off being avocado. All right. Yes, because I realized that, you can come. I've seen many people who come, they all of a sudden they're very popular, and then they're out of stock. Why? Because you are Mr. Mango. You are a mango. You come and you become very popular. Then very soon you're out of business. At least if you were to come back again, you come back as avocado. You come back as what? Avocado. So because or you come back as lemon. Any questions up to there? Hey, you don't come as you come. You'll be very you'll be out of stock very soon. You'll be out of stock very soon. Any questions up to there? You'll be out of stock very soon. At least if you're to come back as as something like avocado. Any questions up to that? Do you want us to continue with the stream, or do you want us to stop the stream and start afresh? Which one would you want? Do you want us to start a new stream, or do you want me to continue non-stop? Which one would you want? You want us to continue non-stop? This is good. I like people who want to be here. I want you to invest in the things above, because the things here don't last. Any questions? Because if you invest in friends, maybe they will get bored of you soon. All right? If you invest in friends sometimes can become mean. They can forget you. They can turn their backs on you. But God, will never turn his back on you. I wish you people knew. I wish you had a revelation